Playa Larga is a small fishing village at the far end of the Bay of Pigs. Most of the streets remain unpaved. It's a simple life where the old traditions live on, where vegetables are still delivered by horse and cart. Every morning at first light, the local fishermen take to the water in their tiny wooden boats. No motors are allowed. They must either row or hoist a sail. In the past, everyone here relied on fishing to maintain their modest livelihood. Now, for many, fishing is simply a supplement to their main income, privately renting rooms in their homes to tourists. The private sector in Playa Larga now dominates the local economy. William Bonachea is a third-generation fisherman who now divides his time between fishing and catering to tourists.
La casa la abrimos por los problemas económicos y que es muy bueno para las personas. Pero la pesca siempre la voy a mantener. Bueno, hay personas que no tienen casa y pescan y les da para vivir. Les da para vivir porque las casas de renta compran el pescado y lo pagan muy bien.
5 years ago, very few tourists stayed in Playa Larga. Now it's become a favourite stopping-off point for the independent travellers, those who want to see the island, not just the capital, Havana, or the all-inclusive tourist resorts. Until recently, these were simple fishermen's shacks. Now, most have been converted into private lodgings, catering to tourists.
Anterior a 2 años, no estaban permitidas nuevas aperturas. Y después decidió el país, una decisión del país, abrir nuevas casas, que fue cuando yo entro en esa.
Jaime Perez is one of these new entrepreneurs. She owns a 3-room bed and breakfast on the beachfront in Playa Larga.
Un trabajo bonito, ¿no? La comunicación con clientes, con gente de todo el mundo, el conocimiento de todas las culturas, es algo bonito. A mí me gusta trabajar mucho con el público. Yo soy comerciante, de hecho.
It was a slow process. She borrowed money to convert one room, then used the income to develop further. Among the guests staying there the day we visited, Marie-Paul from France on vacation with her mother and sister.
C'est des petites casas, mais elles sont bien équipées, on mange bien, la literie est bien, les gens sont agréables, donc moi je le conseille.
The municipality of Playa Larga has a population of around 9,000, including outlying rural areas. In the past 2 years, almost 200 families have converted their homes into lodgings, and many more are on the way. In the past, those offering bed and breakfast were limited to just 2 bedrooms, and everyone working there had to be family. That's all changed now.
Aquí tenemos 10 habitaciones.
10 rooms. Enrique Rivas owns the largest lodgings in town, 10 rooms in total, and he's already expanding further.
Antes fue un poco más difícil porque estaba muy controlado el sistema para el arrendamiento, y ahora en estos momentos sí ha cambiado las cosas y las relaciones que tenemos con el Estado fluyen de una forma muy bien porque la atención ha sido más directa hacia nosotros, se han involucrado los sindicatos, se ha insertado el partido, el gobierno que siempre lo ha estado, pero bueno, nos han dado una prioridad y una atención más personalizada.
Not only is the Cuban government more relaxed about these private entrepreneurs, but the state tourist sector is also putting business their way. State-organised tour groups stay the night at Enrique Rivas's hostel or stop off for lunch when passing through the area. So what brings tourists to this part of the world? Part of it is the history. These old fortifications and trenches beside the beach are a reminder of the battles that took place here during the Bay of Pigs invasion back in 1961. This was 2 years after Fidel Castro had come to power at the height of the Cold War. In April 1961, around 1,400 American-backed anti-Castro Cuban exiles launched their ill-fated invasion. Fidel Castro took personal charge of the counterattack, and after 3 days of heavy fighting, it was over. The invading force surrendered in what was a humiliating defeat for US President John F. Kennedy. Gerald and Julie Sullivan are from Ohio in the United States and wanted to see the Bay of Pigs for themselves as part of their people-to-people visit to Cuba.
It's an interesting, from a different perspective from what we hear from the United States. The United States, by this point, is just some kind of a little blip in history, you know, in the history books here. But here, it's a very much alive.
How have the Cubans treated you here in the Bay of Pigs?
Everybody's been very nice. Yes, we haven't had a bit of trouble with anybody. Everybody's been very pleasant. So that's good. So hopefully the memories have faded after 50 or so years, and we're moving on to a new era.
For many visitors, the history is far less of an attraction than Playa Larga's narrow palm-fringed beaches, a place to chill for a day or two before moving on to explore other parts of the island. These aren't the most beautiful beaches in Cuba, but it is a tranquil setting, and this village lies in the heart of a national park. It's called the Zapata Swamp, covering 450,000 hectares. It's the largest wetlands in the whole of the Caribbean and home to more than 160 species of birds, some of them endemic to Cuba. Park Ranger YOANDRIS GARCIA took me to a viewing platform on the edge of the swamp, a favourite stopping off point for migratory birds.
Take a look over there. A group of pink flamingos coming closer.
Pink flamingos.
Yes.
Oh, they're very beautiful, aren't they?
Very beautiful.
We were just a little early, though. The peak migration is in winter. How many do you get here in the winter?
Here in winter, it's possible to have 10,000 flamingos all over this area.
10,000?
10,000 flamingos.
The whole area must be pink.
Yes.
And this is what brings the tourists?
Yes. Every season in winter, all the area is busy about visitors. We have a lot of visitors, professional bird watchers for all over the world.
Birds aren't the only wildlife which attracts visitors to the Bay of Pigs. It's also a popular spot for divers and snorkelers. This is one of the very few areas in Cuba with good diving close to the shore without needing to take a boat ride out to a reef. Just a few meters offshore, there's a wall which plunges down to the deep. There are also wrecks, though these are not the landing craft sunk during the Bay of Pigs invasion. Those are strictly off limits.
Me ha gustado mucho. La verdad es que además el agua es cristalina y se ve mucho, hay mucha visibilidad, así que espectacular.
Like many of the foreign divers here, Leiri Atiega is staying at a private bed and breakfast.
Sí, en una casa en Playa Larga. Sí, hoy veníamos justo a hacer buceo y unas amigas snorkeling.
Back in Playa Larga, there are plenty of private jobs to go around, even for those who are not renting their homes. From doing the laundry to building new houses or renovating and extending existing ones. Jaime Perez believes it's a positive development all around.
Hay algunas casas que todavía no han podido rentar, porque no tienen las condiciones necesarias, por lo que sea. Pero bueno, esas personas son las que entonces nosotros acogemos y ellos nos ayudan a trabajar acá en las casas. Y este pueblo realmente se ha favorecido mucho con los alquileres. Gracias a Dios que los turistas no quieren visitar la ciénaga, porque también eso hay que decirlo.
Ay, repítelo soñando, ya tú sabes, contigo, queriendo que se cumpla nuestro.
With freshly caught fish on the menu, many of her guests tend to have dinner at her home as well, accompanied some nights by a local band. Jaime Perez, like many of her neighbours, is already taking bookings for well into next year.
Contigo, queriendo que